Hi, and welcome to SkatersLandingTV.com. I'm your host, Chris Bartlett. Today, we're going to be talking about skate sharpening, the #1 most important technical service you'll ever do to your skates. Here's why it's so important. I like to call it the skater's oil change because your skates will function better, have more security, more confident edge when you actually sharpen your skates regularly. I get customers that come in and they'll sharpen once a year, and their parents will say, gee, my daughter or my son doesn't really like a sharp blade. Here's why. They have what I call the yo-yo effect. They skate way too long and the blade gets really dull. They come in and get a sharpening. We've got this huge shift in the dynamics going on with their blade. Then I have the other school of people that come in and they sharpen every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. Here at Skaters Landing in our stores, we like to help the customers figure out the math. Our recommendation for that skater's oil change sharpening is about every 20 to 24 hours of skating time. Of course, there's a lot of variables depending on your level, the intensity with which you skate, your weight, and believe it or not, there are such things as soft ice and hard ice. I'm going to take this sharpening down to the paper now so that you can understand a little bit more about how a sharpening affects the blade from the toe pick structure, through the rocker, down the center of the blade, and to the heel. So we're going to come down here now and look at some things that I'm going to draw for you. So stay with me. Okay, once again, I'm drawing my very famous fat blades. Fat as in F-A-T as opposed to P-H-A-T. Okay, I'm going to draw 3 different hollows once again. This is the hollow. Okay, I'm going to draw the next one. Hopefully, they're about as fat to one another. Okay, and here's our third one. Okay, and what I'm doing here is showing you 3 different depths of hollow. Okay, this one is very shallow. You can see here the bite is quite wide angled. Okay, as we get towards our more medium, I'm actually going to correct that medium. I don't really like that medium, so I'm going to come over here and make a medium. Okay, you can see I've got a little bit more edge to bite into the ice there. When that skater skates, this blade is going to grab the ice like that and actually create the run right from that point. As we get into deeper edges, you can see that more of the blade goes in. So the deeper the hollow, the more the blade goes down into the ice surface. The danger with a blade that's too deep is that that skater can actually reach a certain point where they kind of feel like they're down in a trench or they're on a razor blade. Sometimes the feeling is like the blade actually is controlling you rather than you are able to actually, work with your tool and kind of get through your stuff. The danger of getting too shallow, as we can see, that angle isn't going to penetrate the ice very deeply. We can actually have sort of an easier slip. That ice can, that blade, excuse me, can actually let go of the ice much easier than that. I'd like to talk about something else that can happen in a sharpening, or not in a sharpening, but that needs to be corrected from a sharpening. Let's say we come in and we get our nice sort of medium grind here. Once again, that's our hollow. Okay. Occasionally, a skater will either do something very powerfully or, just have something happen that the edge gets just a little tiny curl or roll to it. So what happens is now when we go to penetrate the ice, we almost have what I call sort of the butter knife effect or the curtain rod, where that blade has either turned in or out and does not want to penetrate the ice. So when that skater goes to skate, we can show you again here. Okay, I've got this edge here is going to grip securely. This edge here, just that little turn, is not going to create the kind of security and confidence of edge that we need. All right, we are going to move along and talk about why it's so important to keep that edge secure and why you want a really good sharpener to take care of your blades. I think I talked about in an earlier segment, this is a little peel being taken off each time. You're looking just for a little skim. You're looking for the proportion of that rocker to maintain to that bottom toe pick. That's a really important thing. And the rocker's relationship to the flatter part of the blade as well. People will ask us, okay, how long should a blade last? How many sharpenings am I going to get? I don't really feel that quantifying that with an exact number really comes into play here. There's so many variables. You can go get one sharpening at the wrong place and they remove a big piece of that rocker, or they alter that blade shape too much, or they take the edges down. Once again, you can have a sharpener that takes your edges down too much, okay, or they do something like this where they leave your blade not level, and each one of those things eats a little bit off the life of your blade. So remember, when it comes to getting sharpenings, hollow is the depth of that chamber, that channel between the two edges, okay? We should have a curve. You should be able to get the tips of your fingers into there. The feel of the sharpening when you're done should be very glassy. My sharpenings come out what I call super, super clean. Feels like a beautiful, smooth piece of glass. You can run up that edge. I should be able to come up this edge, okay, and really feel sort of that knife-like feeling, but not cutting. That's really, really important that it leaves it like that. If you want to test your blades at home to see whether they're sharp or not, okay, this is not going to tell you whether they're level or your hollow is correct, but it will tell you whether they are dull or whether they are indeed freshly sharpened. You can actually take your nail and come on the blade. Okay, you can see here, this is actually a factory grind, but I forced it to take a little bit of the meat off of my nail. But when those blades are dull, it is not going to do that. And ladies, maybe have your husbands or your kids do that, because we know your nails are important to you. So just a few home things. Those tips will help you keep your blades ship shape. Okay? For SkatersLandingTV.com, I'm Chris Bartlett. See you next time.